Now, Democratic Congressman Steve Cohen of Tennessee. He is a member of the House Judiciary Committee. Welcome back to the broadcast, Congressman. I want to get right to it and get your response to John Kasich. There are Democrats partly to blame for the current state of health care.
No, Democrats have proposed that we have a public option, that we have risk corridors, and that we fund the CSRs. And we've made propositions. The problem is the Republicans don't want to do anything to help it in the House, so our bills don't get scheduled for a vote, a markup, or a hearing. Now, on the Senate side, Patty Murray and Lamar Alexander have tried to work together to provide a solution. The Senate Democrats want to do that, and there's Lamar Alexander willing to do it, but they've not gotten anywhere, and Trump's executive order probably cuts the legs out from under them, and it'll be difficult to get anything done. But I think John Kasich is running against Congress. He's running for president. He'd certainly be a better president than Bob Trump, than Donald Trump, but that's not the issue.
So looking at the calendar here, as you know, the House has less than 30 days left in the session this year. There's a lot on the to-do list. You've got health reform, tax reform, Iran, DACA, the debt ceiling, and the decline to fund the government, a deadline rather to fund the government. I mean, that's just the big stuff. What is the focal point for Democrats right now? Is there any consensus?
Well, we want to try to help working people. We want to see that laws are in place that make America more just and to give working people opportunities to get college education, to be able to afford their homes, and to get good health insurance and continue to support the Affordable Care Act. The problem is we are in the minority, and the Republicans control the agenda. At the end, when they need votes and the Freedom Party falls off from the Republican coalition, which will happen on the debt ceiling and may happen on tax reform, then Leader Pelosi can have some influence in negotiating a final deal that may get passed that'll need Democrat votes as well as Republicans. The Republicans have a split among themselves between the Freedom Party, which is the most conservative, who I think about 70 of them voted not to help with funding for Puerto Rico. That was just cruel and inhuman. And there were Texans who voted for Texas relief, but didn't vote for Puerto Rican relief. Some of them didn't even vote for Texas relief. But those folks don't work with the rest of the Republicans, and they'll need Democratic votes to get anything done. And that's at the end, when it comes to crunch time, then the Democrats can have some say in policy that will be good.
I want to ask you, sir, about another item on your personal to-do list. I know you've said that you are planning to introduce impeachment articles against the president in the coming weeks. What specifically do you think the president has done that warrants impeachment?
Well, the president, it starts with James Comey and his firing, and he said to the Russians, I've gotten rid of that nut job, and told Lester Holt I fired him because I said to myself, this guy's not working with me on Russia, and I need to stop this, basically. That's obstruction of justice, and there's quite a bit. An article that lays out all the facts and shows how it is. Then there's the emoluments clause, and he continues to violate those. There's both an international emoluments clause where you're not supposed to take money from a foreign government without first coming to Congress, and he's done it at Trump Hotel, he's done it at Trump World Tower, Trump International Tower, Trump Hotel, Trump everything. And there's a domestic emoluments clause about getting monies over and beyond your salary being forbidden. And he gets monies for the Secret Service and everybody else that goes to Mar-a-Lago and his golf courses, and that comes into the hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars. So there are violations continuously going on. There's abuses of the press, which is a series of actions, a pattern of behavior, starting back, I guess, with Megyn Kelly in the debates and how he attacked her, and then went on with Morning Joe and their hosts. But most lately, when he questioned NBC even having a license, which of course he can't revoke, but he threatened it. He seems to call it the fake news, and the news is the enemy of the American people. These type of actions are violative of his oath to uphold the Constitution and the First Amendment, freedom of the press. And then you've got actions on the judiciary, where with Arpaio, with so-called judges, with Judge Curio in California. An anarchist first goes, an authoritarian first goes against the press and the judiciary, and that's what this man has done, and it puts the United States in a vulnerable position.
So I should think you have explained your reasoning to your colleagues, but I know that just a few days ago on Twitter, you wrote that you were still seeking co-sponsors, especially judiciary members, for your impeachment articles. What kind of support have you received from, first, other Democrats, and is there any interest whatsoever from Republicans?
Well, we've gotten some people who've committed to support our resolution. We want to get a few more. We don't want to be like the previous resolution that was introduced in July that was introduced by one member by himself. Not that William Tell and the Lone aren't right sometimes, but it's best in Congress to have some support and not be the Lone Ranger. Al Green did not introduce his resolution yet, but he made a presentation on the floor. We have some judiciary members on board, others working with us to try to get more judiciary members. That's where it would have to be initiated. So it's a slow process, but basically we've got the resolution drawn, but we still need more sponsors. We'd like to have 10 when we introduce it, 7 or 8 or 10.
I'm curious, have any Republicans said to you privately, look, the timing not quite yet, but if the president continues on this same trajectory, okay, then we will support you?
I have one Republican that just said he is looking at it, he's considering it. I have other Republicans, just like Senator Bob Corker suggested, who have told me on a constant basis that they know this man is not balanced. He is not capable of continuing to lead us, including Freedom Party people who said, I don't know how long we can stand this. And they privately will tell you, and by their words and by their expressions, that they would like to see an end to the Trump administration and don't approve of what he's doing. But the Republican base is still supportive of Trump. That's who's strong in their primaries, and politically they can't come out and say it. But you look at people like Ileana Ros-Lehtinen in Florida, who's announced she's not running for re-election. She criticizes him regularly, saying how the change in insurance will run up more people without insurance in her district, as it will mine. His executive orders will devastate the ACA, but will devastate really Trump people. Middle class and lower income people will pay more and probably go uninsured. And when they do get insurance in these associations, they'll have skimpy policies. And when it comes time when they're sick, they'll find out the policies don't cover them. So there are problems there. And you see Bob Corker, he's not running for re-election. And he's become free to criticize, and not just criticize, but to speak the truth about this president who is incapable of taking action based on rational thought and work, but rather acting like a child and acting in a tempestuous way about anything that President Obama did and trying to destroy it.
All right, Tennessee Democratic Congressman Steve Cohen, thank you.